Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the Hangout. It's Sid, and if you love music as much as I do, well, this is the perfect podcast for you. Today we are hanging out with a globally known Australian singer-songwriter who seems to have a long-lost twin of Dude with the Sign. And his songs may be sad and emotional, which I mean they are, but like he brings the comedy and the fun through his TikTok and Instagram reels. Stay awake. Yeah, stay awake because we've got the legendary Dean Lewis on the Hangout today. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on. Great to be here.
Thank you so much for taking the time. Before we dive into it, I want to check in. You've been doing a lot of press for Falling Up. I don't know, has it all been on Zoom? Have you been able to go in person or?
Yeah. I mean, it's weird. Like, a lot of it has been, luckily enough, I'm in Australia, so I was able to go out and do like actually interviews and all that stuff and do a bit of promo here. But it's been really weird because, when I put Be Alright out in my last album, I was, able to go to Canada, America, Germany and go and like play my band. A lot of it's just been like doing stuff in Australia and then just doing Zooms, and it's kind of a weird world we're all living in now, and it feels so different to my album came out a year and a half ago, I think, and like it's so different now. It's like putting a song out on Mars and just talking to people like this, which is cool but also really, really weird.
Yeah, have you been staying hydrated? It looks like you're staying hydrated, taking breaks and everything.
Yeah. I basically it's actually, in a way, the one good thing is being home. Like, I didn't have a time to catch my breath with how crazy everything got the last few years. And especially with the tours and, like I was recording my album while everything was blowing up, you know what I mean? And so I never had time just to sit down and kind of enjoy things. So it's great to be home in the sense that I can just kind of wake up, I can walk, I can go get a coffee, I can go for a run. And then it's like, oh, well, your Zooms start at 11 as opposed to, just the craziness of you getting on this bus, you get on this plane, you're doing this and you're doing this show, voice is ruined, but you got to keep doing it. So it's in a way there are some positives, but I wish I could get out there and do it again.
Amazing. I love that. You are a legend, and I don't use that word lightly because like no matter what song you release or write, it just makes not only myself but so many people around the world, it has such a positive impact on. Is that kind of like an added bonus for you when you hear these stories that it's impacting people, or like how does that make you feel?
It's really weird. Like I was watching this podcast yesterday, because this is the world we live in, and is the lead singer of the Goo Goo Dolls, and he's talking, that song Iris, and I give up forever to and he was also the guy's podcast. He was the guy who sung Hey There Delilah, Tom Hiddleston, I think is that song. Hey There Delilah, what's it like? And
Plain White Teeth.
And they were talking, and it kind of put it into perspective for me because I was listening to these guys talk about their big song, and for the first time I was like, oh yeah, like Be Alright is. Look, I'm not saying it's as good as those songs, but it's like, it was a huge song, kind of, if it wasn't as big as those, it was kind of almost, and I was kind of going, like how they were talking about it was really interesting. So I sort of dissociate myself from it because I'm always thinking of the next thing. But they were talking about the fans, and I was going, yeah, it is really amazing. Like, people have tattoos of my lyrics, and like, and actually watching that and hearing them talk about it, I was like, oh yeah, like, Be Alright has impacted so many people, but to be honest, in a weird way, I think a lot of people don't talk about this. Is when I did it, it's for me. It is for me when I write the songs, and they have to be personal. And I find that if I was writing them for other people, they wouldn't probably connect as much or be as good. So it's a great thing when you hear about how it helps people. It's like the most amazing spin-off side benefit of doing it. And it has been amazing to hear that my songs have helped people. It's really cool.
Because you are writing it personally for yourself first to help like convey emotions or like get out like whatever you're going through. And like, I guess writing or humming, like how do you start that process when you're feeling something? Are you like sonically creating it first? Are you lyrically writing it first?
Oh, well, I think it's usually on acoustic guitar, sometimes piano, but I was just having a little play around before it's like, it happens in a few ways. The first one is when there's something that I'm consciously aware of, that's something that's like, like a breakup or a new love, or something traumatic, like on my new album, there's other things that have happened, like in my family, and you go, well, I'm going to write a song about this. Today, I'm going to write this song. But there is a feeling where sometimes it's when I see someone else, like someone puts out a new song, or I'm watching another performer, and I'm like, wow, that's incredible. And then it's so contagious. That creativity is so contagious, especially good art. And so I'll watch him or her play and I'll be like, that's so good. And I'll just be like, oh, I got to get my guitar, because I'm like just so inspired. Not to like reference or copy what they're doing. It can be completely different, but it's just like, I go, I can do that. And the drive starts. But the actual process is usually about either something I'm consciously aware of, or sometimes I just have this urge. It's like, just pick up a guitar. It's like a little drawer, and I pick it up. Not an actual little drawer, like a connection. And I'll pick up the guitar and I'll like just start playing. And then all of a sudden it's just like this little feeling. And then I push record on my iPhone, because it's like, just do, like there's something coming. And then I just record. And, sometimes 1 in 50 times, it just comes out and the whole thing makes sense and it's great. And then the other 49 times it's not. Do you know what I mean? But that's when I like over the last year, since my first album, was doing a little bit, I kind of broke it up into 2 phases. So I have the inspiration phase, which is this channeling, getting my guitar, recording on my iPhone, as I was telling you about just then, which can happen all the time, from on the road, back home, on a holiday, always have my guitar, ideas. Then the crafting phase is my new thing. So I read this book called Daily Rituals or Daily Routines by Mason Curry or something. And he talked about all these artists from the last 100 years. And they were authors, they were songwriters, they were, different kinds of artists and incredible people. And they talked about how they had these daily rituals and routines, and they would start usually in the morning. A lot of them would start like at 6 a.m. or whatever, and they'd go for long walks, because it was kind of before the internet. So I started going on this, it's kind of at the end of my first album, but really on this next one, I was like, I'm going to take this even more seriously. I'm going to like really learn the craft of it. And I was really inspired by hearing the routines of these people. And what I found was they usually start really early in the morning. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to take this even more seriously, because I want to raise my level on this next album. I'm going to and this sounds really embarrassing, right? But I start at 10 and finish at 12. So it's 2 hours, right? It's not like a massive amount of time.
Yeah, but like if you take the right amount of time, then it is what it is. And if that's it is all what you need, 2 hours, that's fine.
Well, exactly. And I think 2 hours, like what I was blown away by with this book was they'd usually work small amounts. Like it's not like people, and same with me, I'd always noticed that. I always felt guilty because songs came very quickly, and I was always like, oh, like I'm not sitting here spending, sometimes you do, sometimes you spend a month crafting, but usually the initial idea comes down in a minute. You know what I mean? It's there. But these guys would spend, and girls would spend like, 3-4 hours in the morning, a lot of them. And I was like, oh, let me try that. So I bought like a printer. I got and I like would sit here and I have my iced coffee, and I'd like play back all the memos that I'd recorded over especially the really exciting, the songs I was excited about. And I'd type it out in like a document. And then I started filling in the gaps and like really crafting. So it's more of a crafting process. And what's so great about it is at the end of the 2 hours, I go, well, I'm still energetic. I know where I'm going to start from tomorrow, and I can pick up right away and start, which is super important. And it was just like this. I've sort of like made the process a little bit more, a bit more professional. And I think the lyrics are even better on this album, and the melodies and stuff. So that's basically how I do it from start to finish.
That's so exciting. How many voice memos do you think you go through? Like say maybe in a day?
Oh, well, yesterday, I'm working on this new song right now, and I'm like, this is a perfect example. Like I have like 7 different verses that I've written, and I don't know what to do. Like I don't know which one's better. And 7, yeah. So like last night I was up, I just keep recording. I'm like recording it, then listening back to it like at 1 a.m. in bed. I'm just like, which one's better? And then I had this realization, which was, but so to answer your question, probably like, if I'm writing a song, it can be like just 20 memos, but they can be like 2 seconds, 5 seconds. Usually, but the first idea is usually 10 minutes. But I'm trying to go, stop looking back at what was successful, because with Be Alright, you can go, is this as good as Be Alright, or is this as good as Waves? And I've been doing that a bit lately, and then I'm going, I've had to tell myself, stop. What is real? What feels good now? Where am I now? What is real? What is good? Does it feel good? Okay, great. Next thing. You know what I mean?
For the Hangout, our show, we always want to see how music impacts artists differently. And like for me, your music has impacted me. Like it's part of the reason why we have this podcast. So that's for
awesome.
you,
Thank you.
Yeah, for you, how do you think music has changed your life, or like what's a takeaway that has been so strong for you?
Well, I mean, it has soundtracked my life at different points. Do you know what I mean? Like where I go, this album takes me back to there. In a weird way, when I started looking at music more professionally, in the sense of like, I started doing this as a job,
Mhm.
and it sort of ruins it for you in a way, because when I listen to songs now, I'm analyzing songs, and because I take it seriously, and it's probably been probably the last 10 years when I really started going, oh, I'm going to give this a crack. Like, even though I was just in my bedroom, didn't know it was good. I always, now, sorry, I just spend so much time, like when I hear something good, I'm like, why is that good? Why is that good? And I look and try to figure out why. So in a way, it's kind of ruined it for me, because I can't just sit back and be like, this is beautiful, and just take it in. I'm always like, oh, what chord is that? Like, what is he doing? What production? Oh, that's really cool how he's on that vocal. I'll save that, and I'll be like, I'll save that, and we'll talk about that drum sound. We can use that drum sound. So in a way, it's kind of been ruined. Yeah.
It's like people who've gone to like film school and then they watch films, and then like just the production for film is just completely destroyed. Because you were also like a boom op before, right?
Yeah. I was a boom guy.
Yeah,
I was the guy with the boom pole, and I tell this story. I was like booming for like Katy Perry doing an interview, and I was like, I'm there shaking. I was holding the boom up for like 20 minutes. And this is when I realized the industry is kind of a bit like a bit of a joke, because I'm there shaking, and then someone comes over and they go, Katie, would you like? She's sitting there, after being interviewed, and they go, Katie, would you like a water? And she's like, and like, I'm there shaking, like sweating, like the arms. No one's asking old Dino if he wants a water. Do you know what I mean? That's sparkling or still. And that's when I was like, so now when I'm sitting in an interview, it's like, I was you, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, not that I'm better, but I was just like, it's just it's so like it's all a bit of a joke,
Yeah. Oh man, I want to congratulate you on following up and like the immediate success and it resonating with so many people already. I want to talk about the oxymoron in the title itself. How did that kind of formulate, that concept and everything?
Well, I mean, God, how did well, I guess there's two ways to answer it. How did it formulate? And it was just in the moment. Like, like I'm feeling down, but I'm falling up. It was like, as songs come out, line by line, they reveal themselves. That one's more of a subconscious thing of me going, well, maybe also a bit conscious. You're in the studio going, actually, it started coming out. Like the first thing that I sung, the very first thing that I sung in that song was the pre-chorus. I had the riff that dung, dung, dung. And I have a voice memo. It was, 'cause I get so lonely and you get so low and I look so stupid when you came to my show. That came out, and then you have that piece, and then we went back to the verse, and then I started writing the verse. Then we got to the chorus, and then started writing the chorus, and it was revealing itself, and it became pretty evident that the song was about the last 3 years of my life. So, and Falling Up is, I mean, I've never heard those words together, and when they came out, I was like, that's the name of the song, because it represents the song. The idea of when things on paper look amazing, you're reaching your goals. Your wildest dreams are coming true. I'm having a song be alright. It's big in America. Like, I'm Australian, like I was living with my nan before that. I had nothing. I was in talks with this, I got a record deal, but I had this tax debt I hadn't paid because my boom operating, because I was just it's a weird thing to say, but I was like just terrible at like handling my money, because I just like wasn't happy. I was like doing this job. I was like, whatever. And I was like, oh God, how am I do I have to get bankrupt here? And then I got a record deal, and then and I'm going from literally having nothing to Be Right being a hit. And then at the end of that going, I'm not enjoying the best thing that's happening to me. So it was just on paper, it's all amazing, but it was so much pressure because I didn't want to go back to that. So the idea of Falling Up is like everything going well on paper, but you're feeling terrible. So it's kind of like, you're falling up, and as things keep getting better, you're feeling worse and worse and worse. And I know that sounds like I'm a whinger, but it's a weird thing to deal with. And I just struggled with it. You know what I mean? Like, but I guess the outcome and the resolution for me was going, all these things externally that I thought would make me happy, this drive to go to the next thing, to finish this tour, then I can relax. Oh, I'm doing Ellen. It's freaking awesome. But I'm like, oh God, when Ellen came out, I'm like, I don't know if other people are just like really confident or like relaxed and like, I'll kill it. I'm like, oh God, for the next 2 weeks, I have to practice every day because I don't want to mess this up. And, so you're living in this, okay, after Ellen, then I can have a drink with my friends and we can relax. And then you finish that, and then you've got okay, now we're going to England and we're doing this show over there, and you're like, oh God. And I'm like an anxious person, so it was never able to slow down. So basically that's what following up is about, of realizing this is it. There's nothing after the next show. It doesn't matter, because there'll be something else, and trying to slow down and enjoy it. And it is really not my antidote. Like, I haven't figured it out, and I'm not like, but I just know what my problem is. And that's what the song really is about.
Amazing. Have you figured out like the things that'll keep you grounded and like whole now, or like are you still struggling with all that?
I still struggle for sure. Like, I mean, I do a lot of things now. What's been great about being home is like, I like run on the beach every day. Like, I go for a few days, and then one thing I've been doing for a long time is I have this notebook that I write in every morning, and I write down my goals, fears, worries, dreams, things that I'm trying to improve on, things that I'm just working through, issues like, it can just be anything from silly things from like, how can I get this mix of a song done, and also and what about this new verse or I'm working on, or to anything more serious about like trying to stop controlling things that I can't control and all that stuff. So that's really helped me.
Amazing.
I can't really switch off. I struggle switching off. I still struggle. Like, if I'm not doing anything, I don't know if you have this problem, but like, if I'm not doing anything, I'm like so uneasy. I'm like, it's almost like my brain's so wired over the last few years to worry about stuff, that when I'm just like sitting here and I'm like, what do I have to do? What do I have to worry about? So I'm
totally.
trying to stop. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, totally. I think with the pandemic too, it doesn't help, because you're like we're all isolated, and it just adds that added, like, I don't know, like there's just so much out in the world that we could go do, but we're so confined right now, and it's limiting us. But
it so is, and we're stuck inside, and it's freaking weird. And I think a lot of people are struggling. Like, I mean, especially you guys. You guys are in lockdown now.
Like Canada's kind of like half in, half out right now. I'm not really sure what's going on, but we're definitely not as close as over in Australia and New Zealand.
I mean, to be honest, it's kind of normal here. Like, we can't do big shows, but like, it's just, I think because we're so isolated from the rest of the world, they cut everything off. So it's lucky to be here, but God, I want to get back out there. And I know everyone does want to go and travel again. And I realized how much I took it all for granted. Like, I used to say the songwriting was the thing that I was obsessed with, and the live show and the touring was like, oh yeah, that's cool. I'm not naturally in need of all the attention all the time. And I don't need constant adoration. I just want to write songs. And now doing it from just being writing songs and releasing them and just sitting here, I'm like, this is not what I signed up for. I want to go and meet fans and play for them. And I mean, I always wanted to do that, but I didn't realize how important it was to actually play the new songs to people and see it. You see what their reaction is, as opposed to a YouTube comment, which is still nice, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was on our previous episode with Greta Ray, who's also Australian. She was telling me about how she went to a show and her mom was crowd surfing. And this was like maybe like a few days ago. And I was like, what? I can't even imagine being in a concert situation right now.
Yes, yeah, well, yeah. Things are opening back up big time here, like big time. Like, I mean, with shows, so like capacity wise, like, we started doing really small shows, and they're starting to up the capacity to bigger and bigger. So I think once that happens, we're pretty much going to be back to normal completely. So
that's so exciting.
Pretty great, yeah.
Let's talk about your live show that's happening. Well, this will air during the week of it on Friday. How excited are you to kind of get the band back together and just play music again?
Oh, it was weird. It was weird opening up my guitars that like I'd been in storage for a year and a half, you know what I mean? And like getting the dust off them. And it was weird. Like so I'm doing this live show. It's like the best thing that I can do, because I have a lot of fans outside of Australia. So we thought, well, what can we do for everyone? Well, we can't tour, is we're going to do this like live and unplugged. So kind of like, we kind of took a bit of inspiration from like, the old MTV Unplugged, like Nirvana, like it's sort of acoustic. It's got the full band, but it's like acoustic and a bit different. And we're obviously get to play Falling Up and like some new covers and stuff like that. And I was able to, in my downtime, like I never watched back my performances ever, because I had this mentality of like, it's all working. Just keep doing what I'm doing, and because none of us like looking at ourselves and watching ourselves perform, right? And I don't know if you can watch back your own podcast. I would sometimes. Why do I talk like that? But I was like, that's performing is that on a scale of ridiculousness. And so I never watched back my performances, and I had time to, because I was like, okay. So I watched back my old performances, and I was like, oh God, like slow down. I noticed I'm like sprinting through everything to get to the end, and like my voice, I would just like sing really hard all the time. So there was no dynamic. And so what was really cool was the first time I was like, oh, okay. And I was like making feedback, and I was like, oh, well, if I did slow down here, and if I can sing this soft, don't just go so hard. So I was able to actually, I think, improve my how I do things live a little bit, because I was able to see myself for the first time in absolute disgust. Do you know what I mean? But the live show.
You're way
really
too
cool.
hard on you. You're way too hard on yourself.
I'm Australian. I'm Australian, and so this is so natural for us. But it's so funny in America and Canada. Yeah, we're so like self-deprecating. But in England as well. But I love Canadians and Americans, because you guys are always, you're so different. But you always like, you'll make a joke about yourself at a show, and you guys always yell out, "No, you're great. You're great, man." You know what I mean? Like, and I love that. But no, I'm only kind of kidding, I guess, as well. But so the live show, I think it's the coolest thing we've done. We spent a lot of time like working on it, and I'm just really excited about it. I think I think it's so good that we want to take it on the road, this like little like kind of unplugged show, because it's so cool. So I'm excited about it.
I think the fans are excited, and we actually have a special fan coming in. They have a question for you if you are down for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see if they're here. Hello?
Oh my God.
Is that Scotty Helman?
Dean, I had this whole plan. I was gonna put this on, and then I was gonna feel myself. It didn't work.
Scotty, what are you doing here, mate?
I just like wanted to drop in and say congrats on the single, and that I love you, and that you're a great guy.
Oh, bro, I miss you, man. Did you, like, by the way, Scott Helman you opened for me when we did America, just everyone doesn't know, and you like blew me out of the water at every show, and it was both the best decision and worst decision ever, because you're so amazing live.
I'm so mad. I was like, I had to run into my kitchen to do something. I was sitting in the chair waiting.
I had one job. I am so sorry.
Well, me and Sid have plenty of interviews together, and she reached out and she was like, "I'm interviewing Dean. Can you surprise him?" And I was like, I would love no other way to spend my Thursday night.
Oh, I love it, Scotty. Great to see you, man. And you're the best. You're the best ever.
It's incredible. I'm stoked for the live stream, and I'm just happy for you.
Thanks, bro. And I can't wait to hear your new tunes and everything you're working on.
Yeah, man. All right, I'm gonna leave now. Bye, Sid.
Thanks,
Scotty.
bye.
Catch you later, man. That's so cool. That was such a random. Scotty is. You know what's so weird is, like, before I got a record deal, I was a massive fan. I knew about his music, like the Lion and stuff like that, like his first EP. I was obsessed, and it was like, yeah, it's so cool we became friends, because he's such a cool dude, and he's very, very talented.
Yeah. So is the Vancouver show, I was just going to talk about how both you guys are so good to your fans. You not only played an acoustic show before, but during the show, and then also after the show, you went and met fans. So like, like, can you kind of describe like that special connection that you have with your fans?
Oh yeah. There's like, after every show, it was kind of surreal that I'm in Vancouver and there's people waiting out outside, and you come out and get photos.
People lined up around the block for you too. It was crazy.
Well, you know what's actually also weird is thinking about that feels like another life because of COVID. Like, it actually feels like I feel like I didn't get to appreciate it, because it was like you get the fans, you get the photos, you say hello, and then you get on the bus to go to the next place. And it was so fast, and it's also so amazing to see. But next time round, I go, if I can do that again, I think I'll take it in, take it in a bit more and really kind of be in the moment, because when everything's moving so fast, and it's just hard to take anything in. But having fans is in Vancouver, of all places, in Canada, and also Montreal. Oh my God. I remember that place is mental for shows. Like, that's probably the loudest crowd I've ever seen in my life. We've played there three times, and they are the best. Like, it's crazy. I always remember Montreal.
That's amazing. I have mad respect for your writing as well, because I think in a previous interview you talked about that you're kind of like a selfish writer, and you kind of vet for like the writing stories that are specifically towards you, instead of kind of like generalizing them and favoring other people. Can you talk a bit about how that kind of benefits you, or like how does that change your writing process?
Yeah, I'm kind of a selfish writer in the sense that it's not for everyone. I love writing about sort of mundane things, like really specific things. You know, Bruce Springsteen's the king of this, like in Dancing in the Dark, how he talks about the song is literally about him. I mean, it's about a lot of things, but if you just look on the surface in regards to form, it's really just about him walking around his room, looking at himself in the mirror, hating the way he looked. Do you know what I mean? Listening to the radio. And there's a lot of great undertone, under things that he's doing under that. But I like that. And I use that for Be Alright. I wrote like super specific things like cigarettes on the counter. I look up from the ground and all those things. And I reach for your face and all that stuff. And then melding that with some general good feeling, hopeful, big chorus. But yeah, when I write, it's I try to get really specific because I just find if it's real, the songs that have worked for me as well, looking back, are the ones that were really real to me, like Half a Man, Waves, Be Alright, other songs that have really connected on a universal scale from the first album. And now I have a year and a half since then, I can look back and go, well, why did they connect? Well, they were the realest things to me. So moving forward, that also helps me write because I go, that's the level now. That's the level. But those songs are really hard to write. But I find that being really specific and selfish, not doing it for everyone, it's got to be for you, then everyone else will feel something when they hear it as well. If you're writing about something, like usually it's a human emotion, so people have experienced it as well.
I feel like it also just ties in with the whole entire concept art, the visuals, the music video, because like going back to Falling Up, it tied together so well because it was such a specific emotion. Like, I guess talk about working with Darren Craig and Tim Mattia on the visuals and the music video for Falling Up.
Yeah, Darren Craig is the photographer. He shot the artwork and it was the best. God, that photo that he took is just like
fabulous. It's fabulous.
It's so cool. Like I was like, that's just how you do that, man. Like he's a real talent and he's like a genius. I don't know what to say. He's like a freaking genius. And he's so chill. You just like look at him and he's just like such a normal, chill dude. Like he's no ego or anything. And he's like, you know, I think anyway. And then Tim's a great director. He's English and he lives in Joshua Tree. And I showed him the song and he had this really cool idea to go to this like alien Spartan place to film it. And a place that had all these hopes and dreams and, you know, the glitz and the glam and the potential of a great future. And that turned out to be Vegas in COVID. So we shot it in the Palms Casino and it was so cool because it lined up with the song, the idea of putting on a suit. You know, you're in this hotel room and you walk downstairs ready to go to this show. You're feeling good, walk into the casino and then you get there and no one's there. And it's just you in the end. And it was like, Tim, that's a genius idea, man. Like, I'm pretty sure that's what he meant from it. You know, that's what I kind of took. We shot it all in a day. And the only reason we were able to shoot it at the Palms was because it was shut down because of COVID. So, so otherwise I think you'd have to pay $1 million to hire it for an hour. But we got the whole place for like $15,000, which is a lot of money, but that's nothing compared to like, because it wasn't open. So we were able to. But yeah, it's one of the best video. It's the best video we've ever done for sure that I've ever been in.
It's stunning. And like, yeah, I don't even think you can film in casinos. I don't even think that's a thing. So to like film a music video.
Well, they actually let us in and then they just literally no one was even there. It was so weird. Like we had a big crew of like 30 people, but like when they let us in, there was no one chaperoning. I was like jumping on the casinos and all the slot machines. And I'm like,
how did you not break your neck? How did you not break your neck?
Well, I'm an idiot. So I'm surprised I didn't, but I was like jumping on the bars and stuff like that. And I was like, how is everyone okay with this? Because like they just did this $1 billion refurbishment of the place, and I think that's why they shut down actually. But it was really cool and blew me away, the video. That's
amazing. Yeah, it just looks so cool, and it just like ties in with the whole concept with you being above the whole entire city, just looking out, but then being alone in the studio or stage, and I was just like, this is perfect. This is perfect.
Yeah, it's a really cool video.
Amazing. Okay. I guess we got to wrap it up soon, but you mentioned 3 songs, Waves, Half a Man, and Be Alright, kind of having this like similar cohesion. For your new music, you had like 5 or 6 songs. What do you think that tie or string along with all these new songs will be with like these 3 other songs?
So yeah, like when I put Waves, Be Alright, and Half a Man in a certain category, like I go, okay, these songs, you can see they're still connecting to people. And I go, well, they're okay. And they're all different meanings. Waves is about the idea of getting older year by year. And back then I was like, life doesn't feel exciting. I feel like I know all the answers. Half a Man, how am I supposed to love you when I don't love who I am? Something that I was feeling. And I guess I still feel, getting better at it. And then Be Alright, obviously it's about hope and about my brother, and friendship during a time of seeing something in a phone.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, well, these are very specific, but they're universal concepts that weren't intentionally universal. And it's easy to say, I want to do more songs like that, I want to do more songs like those. Harder to actually do it and write them. But I set that target for myself on this album. I was like, I'm not going to hold back. I'm not going to, because on the first one, I also was like, I just want to do some really nice little songs that are cool. But then you look at the difference, and I do still want to do. I'm not always trying to do hits, but I was like, I'm not holding back. I'm going to write the best songs, and I'm going to make them the biggest they can be, and I'm just going to go for it in this album. And there is I would say there's probably 5 or 6 songs that are in that same category as what those 3, whereas I only had 3 on the last album. You never know how they're going to go. Like you never know if something's going to connect. But I feel like it's the best stuff I've done. I know everyone says that. Every artist is like, this new album's the best album. It's like I think we're all so excited, and we're also laid back with Falling Up, because we're like, it's doing its thing, it's building, and we go, we know what's to come, but no one else knows yet. Like we know there's a few songs that we're like, I just feel really lucky, and no one knows yet. That's the other thing that's frustrating. It's like I'm playing all these songs to people like from my old thing, and you're playing, and that's all they know. And it's like, you guys only know like this much of this huge thing that's huge. I mean, I just mean maybe huge is the wrong word, but this huge amount of music that's going to be coming out.
It's a eventually. New era.
It's a new era, and it's just like, I think people are going to be really surprised. My fans are going to love it, I think, and I think we're really excited. Yeah.
Do you have a date in mind yet, or?
Well, I mean, because of COVID, it's like, we don't know. Like I personally, I'm like, I don't want to put out another song during this period, because I can't, what's the point of putting out music if I can't tour it? I actually don't even, that's what we're all kind of saying. What's the point of this if we can't tour it? Because otherwise you're just like writing jingles and putting them out, and like, so we might have to put another. So I think we're just we're still Falling Up, still building, and in Australia especially, it's really building here. And then we're seeing in like Switzerland and in Germany, it's starting to bubble up, which is kind of what happened with Waves, which is cool. And then after that, I'm still recording the album. I've still got 2 more songs I'm doing, so I'm just kind of working on that while Falling Up's starting to build. And then, but as for a date, it's kind of up in the air.
That's so exciting. We're so excited. Everyone is so excited for the new music. And the last question, I'll wrap it up. You are an avid gardener. What is in your garden? What are you gardening?
Well, avid gardener. So what I do is I hire a gardener to come over once a month to fix it, and I water it. But this is the thing. I love it. Like, honestly, watering a garden, I didn't realize how cool that was. Like, it's so relaxing. You just kind of sit there and I just hold it for 30 seconds.
Watch the soil get all wet, and then kind of simmer down.
Yeah, simmer down, and then the idea is apparently you're supposed to do it in the morning, and then the sun comes over it. Apparently, it's better to do it in the morning. That's what my guy told me. But I have a place now, and there's like a nice garden courtyard, and there's got like all it's really green. I love it in the morning. It's the best thing in the world. Peaceful, peace.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Dean, for being on the Hangout and just talking about music. We can't wait for your new stuff, and we can't wait for your live show as well.
Can't wait. And thank you for having me on. Really appreciate it. Great chat.
Thank you so much. Thanks for tuning into the Hangout, guys.